Yate bin. So today we're out in a windy area. It's called Horseshoe Canyon. It is out here in between Cortez and Shiprock. But today we have a guest that returned to our channel due to popular demand by a lot of viewers, such as those who are watching and hopefully new viewers who thoroughly will enjoy his storytelling and knowledge and history, but even going into the you aspect. So before I keep on rambling on, let's go reintroduce to our special guest.
Can you believe there's elk up here?
Is that elk?
I didn't know that, so.
Well, I heard there's elk up here.
Yeah.
All right, we got sidetracked. Hey, Yate. Oh.
Yeah, I was like, I'm up here, and like I was trying to look for my sheep. I think the Ute stole them. Hey, no, it's
See, I told you. No, I'm kidding.
No. Yate, Shakwahasinko. Shakwahasinko. That's proper introduction right there. Shakwahasinko. Shakwahasinko. Okay, so I don't know if I said it before. Shakwasine is those that are all our relatives that have gone into the spirit world. Those are called Shakwasine. So Shakwasinko, or like you, me, we're here. So that's how I say hello. So Yate Shakwasinko, Shakwasinko, around me. Ado Balakana Kaho Shizit. Ya Anthony Lee, what is it? Ado the Nejido Shiji Hulund, I reserve that. I only use that for ceremonial purposes, or when there's something like that that's going to happen over for me or with me. So that's the only time I use that too. So I have a traditional name, but I reserve to use that name. I don't know Shinigi na Shashe, the Na William Inchle. I am relative to the Glaschi people, the Sinajini, Izahlane, Kintachinis, and I don't remember, there's some others too, but those are my relatives. But na Shashin Schlingo, Jose Tachini, Bashichin, Kia on a Yashinale, that Edo Hanagan, Dashache. What ego ya haskin nishle. What my English name is Anthony Lee. I am of the Tewa Bear People clan, which originated out of First Mesa. Going back and researching my own history, so that's where our clan originated from. And of course, those Tewa people are from up from Santa Clara, up around Taos area, that moved down to First Mesa. So that's where my ancestry comes from. I'm of the Tewa Bear Clan. My dad's side is the Jose Tachinis, which I found out was also from the Hopi people. That's where they come from, the Eagle Clan people over there on that side. So that's where my dad's side comes from. And then Shinale Eya Kia'anis. Now that one, there's like 4 different areas where Kia'anis came from. They're from one I've heard that they came, one group is out of the Gila River Apache group. The other one is, once they separated back, they ended up over here by Chaco. So which group they came from, I'm not really sure. So those are the Kia'ani people. But then the other ones, Hanalani people, again from the Apache group, who he came back down this way. Those are my chase. So in that sense, I am up here, a place called Tsagata. Tsagata in the English form is among the coves of the canyons. Tsagata, among the cove of the canyons. Tsagata. And then the geologists and a lot of the old people, they come in, they rename this place Horseshoe Canyon. Over one of the canyon that's way behind us on this side, that kind of sits like a canyon, like a horseshoe. That's what they named it after. So that's that one on that side. So We're up here. My nullies, my original nullie, they used to be up here. And they were introduced to this area by a late grandpa. His name was Black Horse. They used to call him that. And he was among one of the oldest warriors. I guess those were the relatives, some of the ancestors. They lived down in Shiprock. So, but he was, and him, and then there's another one called Sandoval. And they were up here way long before. And then my grandpa, I guess, kind of tied in with a lot of these guys way back in the late 1800s, around that time. Mm-hmm. And they told him, said, well, you can be up here. We can let you have this area, you know, and let you live there. But in the sense, we're gonna use each other. We're gonna help each other, you know, in a lot of ways. So, and that's how my grandpa ended up here. They used to have a summer camp up here, like that. And they used to bring their sheep and their cattle up here once a year. And then, of course, there were a lot of my relatives that were up here. Everybody got along back then. Mm-hmm. And there was no such a thing as, well, this land right here, this part is mine, you need to keep out. You know, they didn't say that. But even going across that side, way up there on the other side, right where the ridge comes down, right there, anything past that, I think that's the Ute Reservation on that side, the Ute Mountain. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's that little dark area with the shadows? Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, we're up there.
Yeah, that's shadows. You can see along. My finger's trying to guide you along all that. But yeah, that's where it's at.
And the bureaucrats of the Ute people, I guess the Ute Mountain, said, oh, you Navajos keep out. You know, it was like anyway. But it wasn't always like that. You know, it wasn't until...
Was it recently?
Yeah, until recently, a lot of these overeducated Indians stepped in there and they thought, you know, they could run the country, you know. So, but they lived up here. They had to learn to get along, you know. That's basically what happened. So, but it wasn't always like that, you know. It was not always like that. Everything wasn't always hunky-dory. Yeah. During the campaign of Kit Carson, the Utes, the Ute Mountain tribe, the White Mesa Utes were used to help round up Navajos. So, but anyway, they came in here. So a lot of scrimmages, a lot of war happened here. Mm-hmm. And they kind of, from what I understand, a lot of them, when they came up through here, they kind of stayed away from these edges. And they kind of stayed away from it because they knew we were, the Nez people were up in here. And they kind of stayed away from here. But see, they told, when they were employed by Kit Carson and the United States Army to help round up the Navajos, they didn't come after us right here because, but the youth tried to tell them, hey, there's Navajos in there, go get after them, you know. Yeah. But the Army wasn't paying attention so much to these youths. You know, no, we know who we're going after. There's some peaceful people that live way over there in Canyon de Chelly. That's the one we're going after, you know. Somebody had to pay, and it was those peaceful Navajos that they went after. It's so sad, you know, but it's true. So a lot of the Navajos during that time, they ran up into these areas, into these canyons to seek refuge. And a lot of them, I mean, we knew these canyons, and, you know, and that's what I was talking about. My grandpa and some of these, and that's how a lot of these canyons were being used. It didn't belong until this day and time. My own relatives sometimes, you know, was like, it's so sad, you know, like, this is mine, you know. Mm-hmm. And they get all weird about it, you know, it don't belong to them, you know, but that's something that we learn from a white person, you know, in the white society, you know, it's like with this greed and all this stuff, you know, but I don't want to go into that. So if these canyons would talk, they'd know, you know, a lot of these, you know, we have a history in here with a lot of these wars that happened here with the Ute people. And one of my cousins down towards Shiprock, this whole area right in there, there's a lot of battlegrounds in here, and where we fought. You know, this whole area, I think there's something that happened in here, you know, it's like, so he picked up a, what he thought was an arrowhead. He said, I wiped it off like this. He said, I thought it was an arrowhead. After he cleaned it off, it was all white, and it was bleach white, he said, but it was an arrowhead. What we found out later was that they used to use a lot of the enemy's femur bone, and they used to chop it off, make them into arrowheads.
Wow.
See, that's what they were using them for, and they put them in arrows and they shoot them. They used to boil these things and they make them into poison. They used to stick them in there and let that arrowhead soak it up. Yeah, and that's how they were using them. So, but that concept kind of evolved past that into what they perceive as skinwalkers.
It's interesting that you brought up the shooting the arrows, but they're made out of bone into the enemy with poison.
Right.
And then now you just brought up that the medicine man, when he performs ceremonies,
right, the witchcraft part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and they start pulling out the bones.
Yeah. Now see, what's going to happen now is what's going to happen is somebody down probably my sisters or somebody goes, we knew he was a witchcraft guy. He knows this
I know
stuff.
you had too much knowledge.
Oh man, it's like, oh man. But yeah, a lot of this stuff here I learned through research.
Yeah.
Research is what you do when you go out and try to gather all the information. But this is how I found out a lot of stuff. Right now we're doing a research on the concept of witchcraft. The skinwalker thing. There's a lot of misinformation going out on a lot of the medias that we found out, and this was where we were talking about it, and it's that we need to do research on that. Finally, really get down to the nitty gritty of where it came from. And this one, what I just explained to you, came in one of those. So, and even with the concept of where that word came from, witchcraft, where it came from was way back. Well, I don't want to get really into it, but it's the origin of that came from the elite part of our Navajo warriors. Way back in the 1800s, we used to do a lot of raiding among a lot of these people, and so that's where a lot of these guys were being used. A lot of these warriors like that, they can sneak up on an enemy, and knock them out like that. They could bring down a horse. They knew how to do it. And the Apaches knew it. We knew it. We knew how to do that. And it was a learned trait. Okay, from my little research, it was the concept of learning how to, and a lot of these things that they learn, and the concept of skinwalkers, it comes from almost every ceremonies that we had. The ceremonies, different ceremonies, including NAC. Believe it or not, Native American Church, even out of there. There had to be something out of there. And to this very day, it still happens. Today, from what I understand, it's still going on. That's why a lot of these fornications and all these things, it's like all these things, it's like, but that's a part of it. And it's no longer sacred. And that's where a lot of our relatives are figuring out, that's the reason why it's not sacred no more. And all these ceremonies, there's a negative and there's a positive power that goes in with it. Even with the concept, they don't change into animals like you perceive a lot of these, like that's the I don't know how to put it. That's more like a tourist type of thing. Definition.
Yeah, it's more of an exaggeration.
Right, exactly. That's what that is. Yeah, and we don't do that. They don't do that. There's no such a thing. Let's say that there's somebody way up there across, and we saw the enemy coming. How do we communicate? The way we would do it is we would mimic. Since there's an elk up here, we would mimic an elk, or we might mimic a coyote. There were certain ways that they spoke to each other. See, and that's how they were used. There are no shift changers. There is no such a thing as that.
All the shapeshifters and everything like that.
None of that. Yeah, none of that. The wearing of the skin and all that mostly was done for the part of sneaking up on the enemy, sneaking up on a game. Those were that was the purpose for putting on these animal skins. That was the purpose of it. You don't become that animal. It's impossible, We knew how to communicate with these animals. Some people had that ability to do that. They knew how to communicate with them. Like, for instance, the time people were returning from Fort Sumner, they were told, they actually had this thing that they evolved from there called the Coyote Way ceremony. Now the coyote, during that time they were told, we're thinking of, I guess it was General Carlton or somebody that told them, we're talking and Washington is telling us that we need to send you to Oklahoma. Now the leaders heard about this and they said, no, we don't want to go there. You know, we don't want to go there. We need to have a ceremony. You know, they had no hogan. The first thing they did was they took shrubs like this and they formed what they call ish, nazte, like a circle. And they made one like that. So with the guards standing there, watching them, they had to perform the ceremony. And it was written, you know, they wrote it down. They said, you know, we actually saw a coyote walk in there. So when they did that, they handled that coyote, from what I understand, and they tied on, you know, I'm not sure, either turquoise or abalone or something like that. They tied that thing on there, gave it some pollen or cornmeal, and that thing spun around and it took off back that way, from what I understand. And that they recorded it doing that. That was where it was developed. So from that point on, they said, no, we're not going to Oklahoma. We're going home. See, that's one of the history. And it's written, from what I understand, from what the soldiers that were witnessing that saw that. And the soldiers, here's a coyote, we need to shoot it. No, the Navajo medicine people told them, don't do that. Don't do that. It's here for a reason.
Yeah, the messengers.
Yeah. So they came in, they actually, one of them, I guess, went up to them, tied on an abalone shell or whatever. I wasn't there, you know.
Well, this interview is over.
Yeah, so a lot of times they will say, somebody will say, oh, it's good, you know. My grandpa used to tell me, you know, don't argue with people like that, you know, like, hey, they're probably right, you know, they were there, you know. I had to learn to listen a long time ago to learn and able to find out a lot of this information I have. So I had to learn to listen. That's one thing I learned how to do. So when you listen, it goes in here and it catches right here. When you hear it, it goes in here and it comes back out like that. You know, that's when you only hear it. So, but when you listen, it catches right here and it bounces around in there and it teaches you. That's what you call listening. See, that's what you do. A lot of these guys in Window Rock, they don't do that. Ones that need to go into sweat lodges, these Karens, you know. We had only the moms were the only ones. That's how it was used. Tears was coming out of his eyes. Within the